Hello everyone, and welcome to this third webinar about supporting your young person to transfer into secondary school and from secondary school into the post-16 environment. I'm Dawn Priest. I'm one of the specialist senior educational psychologists in Warwickshire, and I've been supporting transition for many years within the county. So this is a transition webinar for parents and carers of young people who are transferring into secondary school, but you may find it useful to also watch the previous webinar, which also looks at some of the skills that Year 6 pupils may need to start to develop to help them transfer into secondary school. This is general information about what helps young people transfer into secondary school and out of secondary school. If you have got a young person with additional needs, they may need some extra transition work, which you can discuss with your primary school and the receiving secondary school. So what I'd like to do is first of all look at the research behind what has been found to help a successful transition. So this was some research done quite a few years ago now. I think it was from Oxford University, and it's around what things help young people settle into secondary school, make it a smooth transition, make it less stressful for their parents and carers. And from this, obviously a lot of schools have changed the way that they manage transition, but these are the things that are often most helpful. So getting to know your way around the school, what the rules are, having some visits in advance of going to the new school is really helpful. And certainly over the last 10 years, schools have been really good at enhancing transition from primary to secondary school. Knowing how things work in the new school, what the rules and expectations are, and how things will happen in terms of lessons and homework. Things that are also helpful are children being able to adjust to having different teachers, making new friends, how to safely navigate the school site and travel to and from school are really helpful for a successful transition. And thinking positively about moving school. Sometimes it's helpful for young people to have older siblings already in the school who perhaps know the ropes a bit and can help out if there's any problems need solving. And young people often enjoy going to secondary school because they have more of a range of subjects which are more interesting, and that these have been well linked to the standards and academic abilities that the young person has transferred from primary to secondary school with. So one of the key messages from today is make sure that you as a parent or a carer attend as much of the transition opportunities possible, and that you make sure that your young person attends any transition opportunities that are on offer as much as they can. Other things that are helpful for supporting a transition into secondary school from primary school are friendships. However, you might have a young person who is transferring on their own. If that is the case, it would be helpful to let the new school know that they're coming on their own so they can make some plans, maybe facilitate some friendships, groupings, offer the young person chances to go to things like friendship clubs at breaks and lunches while they build up that friendship network. So thinking about, what extra bits of support the school might be able to offer. As I've said, are there extended opportunities like summer schools for your young person to attend in the run up to starting secondary school? Is there a residential trip at the beginning of Year 7 that they could go to help with that team bonding, or even just an opportunity to go on a school trip, again, to facilitate relationships with staff and with new peers? Having a positive attitude about moving school is really helpful. Obviously, it's a time of mixed feelings, a bit of excitement, a little bit of worries, but viewing school positively and change positively is really helpful for you to model as a parent and a carer. Likewise, encouraging good attendance. We know children settle in better when they've got good attendance. They're able to build up those friendships, those new friendships. They're able to get to know the staff, and also they're not getting behind with the work, so it then doesn't start to feel overwhelming for them. But change for everybody is a time to draw on resilience skills, which we'll talk a little bit about later on in this presentation. So what can you do to help as a parent or a carer? One of the main things to do is to try and think about the new skills and routines that your young person will need to adapt to go to secondary school. So how will they cope with things like increases in homework, new rules and expectations, increased independence, and increased numbers of staff to liaise with and be taught by. Also, they need to be aware of how to manage their homework and teach time management strategies if they're not very good at that at the moment, and to be aware of the rules and routines, so you can help them if they get stuck. So what happens if they lose something in school or they've forgotten to do a piece of homework? What are the rules from your secondary school's point of view about how to communicate that? And obviously supporting your young person to continue to develop their independence, their confidence and social skills. But the main thing to be aware of, which you often find out once schools have been allocated and there are transition opportunities for parents, is who to contact in school. Who's your first port of call if you need to share any information or check anything with the school. The other thing to think about is also what's going to happen during the summer holidays and in the run up to moving into secondary school in September. What events have you got as a family towards the end of the summer holidays? Are any of these likely to be a bit disruptive to your young person? Or how can you adopt some activities that are going to be quite reassuring and relaxing for your young person? So what we're going to do now is we're going to listen to some advice from a member of the secondary school staff in Warwickshire who support transitions year in and year out. So we're going to listen to some advice from those people that do it, very regularly about what helps move young people into secondary school.
Hello, I'm Karen Buckthorpe and I'm assistant head teacher at a Warwickshire school, and I've been supporting transition into secondary for many years. If there are any opportunities to visit the secondary school that your child's going to, I really would recommend that. So any opportunity that the school's put on, if it's a transition evening, if it's an extra visit, if it's open days, open afternoons to see how the school's running, then I really would recommend that that's a really good thing for you to do. Have a look at the school website as well with your child, sit and do it together as a sort of an activity. It gives you so much information on the website. Often a lot of schools have also got virtual tours, so that's a really good thing to do so that your child can become familiar with where they're going and start to understand about that transition, because there's no doubt the transition to secondary is absolutely massive, and children deal with it in many different ways, and we often don't know how they're going to deal with it until they're sort of involved in it. If the school does a summer school, I would really recommend that as well. That gives them such an opportunity to get to know the school when there's nobody else here. They obviously put on lots of activities, team building. It will probably be run by staff from the school and also tutors, so that is a fantastic chance to meet their peers. During the holidays, I would make sure that they're very prepared for things like if they're walking to school, make sure you've done the route. If they're getting a bus, take them on the bus. If it's the first time they'll be going on a bus on their own, it might well be a school bus, but if it's a public bus, that's very different. Make sure they've tried their uniform on and start getting into that back to school routine as early as you can. Make sure that they can pack their bag, that they can, do up their tie, that they can do all their buttons up and put their blazers on. All that sort of thing is absolutely vital in preparing for your child to start at secondary school in September.
So things that are also really helpful for you to do as a parent is to be a good role model and encouraging good habits in your young person around their well-being and mental health. And so these are really good strategies to help with relaxation and to help with remaining calm and being just useful things to routinely do to help you know, when times are perhaps a little bit difficult or there's some change that you want to manage. So making sure that your young person's got someone to talk to, maybe reflecting on any kinds of stress or worries that they're experiencing, making sure that they're enjoying themselves as well, that they are making, you know, that they're not worrying, that they are out of their bedrooms, that they are doing nice things, carrying on with activities that they've enjoyed, but also that they have some relaxation time, so they're not overfilling their time, but they have a bit of downtime where they can just relax and enjoy what they're doing. Encouraging good eating and exercising and a good sleep routine is really helpful. Can be a bit tricky with the teenagers because they often want to stay up later, but making sure they've got enough sleep is really helpful in supporting you know, their ability to manage change and cope, and making sure that they've got a network of supportive relationships around them. Who are they socially connected to within your family, within your wider friendship groups? And just, you know, that young people are aware that, you know, perhaps some of the ways they're feeling are warning signs that they might need a bit of extra help or a bit of support. And also thinking about how you feel as well. And I think this slide really here reflects how it can feel like a bit of a quick journey from, you know, it feels like perhaps not that long ago you were supporting a little one to transfer into nursery or into primary school, and then all of a sudden you're in this other half of the picture, which is I've got these grown-up children who are all independent and they don't need me around them as much as I used to be. My role has changed. So I think it's about reflecting in the run up to moving to secondary school about how you're feeling as well. And you know, it probably will be mixed feelings. It'll be you know, a little bit of a feeling of a loss of a role and a change in your relationship with your child, but also it's about excitement. It's about acknowledging that your young person is growing up, they're becoming independent, they're moving on. And so you might find around about the time of moving to secondary school, your child wants to be around you a little bit more, or you might find the opposite. They want to be around you a little bit less as they prepare for a change in their independence and expectations. So think carefully about how you're displaying your feelings about them moving school. You know, and think, you know, when you've got a private moment to yourself, think about what the primary school has offered you. You know, what has it offered you as a parent or as a carer? What are you going to miss? Are you going to miss talking to the members of staff? Are you going to miss the routine? Are you going to miss, you know, seeing other parents on the playground as regularly as you did? And if you do think you're going to miss some things about primary school, thinking about how you're going to sort of you know, make those changes yourself and how you can plug some of those gaps of things that are going to change. The other thing to also think about is how the pupils are feeling about moving to secondary school. And just like with the adults around them, it's often mixed feelings. Some research from Young Minds showed that young people moving to secondary school often worry about getting lost, being late for class. They worry about not making friends. They worry about, you know, having lots of new teachers sometimes. They worry about detention a lot. They also worry about harder homework, potentially being bullied, and they worry about not being in classes with their friends. So these are all things that schools are mindful of, that they know that young people struggle with. So what's important is that, you know, if your young person is having some of these worries, is to help them with some problem solving, about solving some of those problems, you know. So what are you going to do if you are late for class? What are your options? What can you do? How can you manage that situation? Or, you know, being aware of what the school systems are if your young person does receive a detention, or if you've got some concerns about peer relationships and bullying. But what's also important to remember is how excited the young people are about moving to secondary school. And we've done a lot of research around this in transition projects in Warwickshire. And these comments here are from young people who were in year 7, moving to year 7 a couple of years ago. And these are all the things that young people are looking forward to. And it's important that we reflect these back to young people as the positives of change and the positives of moving school. So making new friends, socialising, learning new things, having new subjects, having new teachers, being able to move around the school as opposed to being just in one classroom all of the time, more freedom, new sports opportunities, new trips, including residential opportunities, social events, fresh air, better food or new food, so more of a canteen type system, a new school uniform and stationery, and having some independence. So certainly the children are feeling quite positive about moving to secondary school. They're interested in how they're going to travel to and from school. And one particular young person was very excited that he could go to the sweet shop on the way home from school. So there are lots of things from the young people's perspectives that are real positives about moving on and change. So we're just going to get a bit more advice from Karen about what to do when they actually arrive in year 7 and the start of the new year.
So when they've arrived in year 7, they'll have so much information to take in. So it's really important that you sit with them and go through stuff. Make sure that you've passed any information onto the school. Maybe if anything, if you're concerned about anything, or if there's anything that's changed in their home life that might be useful to the school, so they can put in the right support. There will have been a lot of communication between the child's primary school and the secondary school. So as early as you can do this, that's the best thing to do. Make sure you know who the child's tutor is. It's likely that that will be the first contact in school, but that you will have. So the child's tutor, the head of year, key pastoral staff, the Senko, anybody else, make sure that you know the key staff and how to communicate the staff. Lots of schools communicate with parents in different ways, but make sure you know how to communicate if there is a problem. If there is a problem, we can't do anything about it. And this is what schools will say if they don't know about it. And then all the right support can be put in for your child. So make sure they know their timetable, have a copy of it up at home so they know what to expect when they've got PE. Things like that make a real difference. Avoid any disruption if you can for when your child starts in year 7, particularly in those first few weeks, because they'll be missing key bonding with their peers, but also that really important information about the expectations and everything about starting a new school. So try to avoid holidays or anything else around that time. Also, another thing that is a big thing with year 7s is the phones. So make sure that your child understands the rules of the school to do with phones. It might be the first time that some of them have had a phone, so it's really important that they know how to use it safely, that they can protect themselves, that they're not doing things on social media they shouldn't be. So make sure that you really keep a handle on that. There's often trips right at the start of terms. A lot of schools run those as a kind of bonding exercise. So that's a really good thing for your child to get involved in. Clubs and extra activities. There's no doubt that your child taking part in all those extra opportunities and activities that school might offer, makes a child progress more academically as well. It really helps form those relationships, not just with their peers, but also with staff. One of the biggest fears that students have when they come in is about the amount of homework that they get. You will probably find that there'll be a gradual build up to that in year 7, and not forgetting that they may well not have had that much at primary school in those latter parts of year 6. So it's about making sure that they feel organised, they can manage their time, not leaving it all to the last minute, but supporting. And if there's a reason why that they haven't been able to do their homework, make sure you get in contact with the school. Some schools will operate like like a planner or a diary, and that's a really good way of communicating. So find out from your child's school what how you should communicate with them if there are any issues, and that will usually be all sort of set out to you on the transition evening. So it's a really important event for you and your child to attend. And the other thing I would say is make sure that you name everything, because inevitably we end up with a lot of lost PE kits and things like that that haven't got names on. So, and that can just cause added stress if your child just can't find their PE kit. So make sure everything's named as well, and make sure they've got like all their equipment.
Okay, so that's sort of really how to support your young person in transferring into the secondary school, and what to do in those first few weeks and months when they arrive. Again, a bit like when they're ending primary school, sometimes the end of secondary school can sort of creep up on us, and it can be a little bit of a surprise when it happens. And again, whether they're off to the world of work or whether they're going to carry on studying, it can provoke a range of emotions in you as a parent, a carer, and in them as a student as well. So it's important, so if you see some sort of maybe regression in your young person, just to sort of acknowledge that in them and say, I wonder if you're beginning to get a little bit nervous about the end of school, what that means, a new beginning. So sort of naming it to the young person is really important. And acknowledging again, it's a new chapter, it's a new start, it's a change, and thinking about the positives of leaving secondary school and moving on into post 16, using it as an opportunity to think about all the exciting things that are ahead of them, but also celebrating all of their achievements, whether they be academic achievements, whether they be personal growth achievements, any accomplishments that they've made. It's really important to acknowledge and reflect back those to the young person, because from those they can use those experiences to draw upon to help in times when they require some resilience. So it's really important to do that. And again, like you did to prepare them for moving into secondary school, there'll be some new skills that they need to learn for going off into the post-16 world. Again, we'd be looking at more increased independence. They may start to learn to drive. They may be needed to learn some skills for living away from home. So those sort of, basic skills about, washing their clothes, looking after their finances, thinking about how they're going to cook healthy meals for themselves, mixing with a wider range of people within the college or workplace or in the community. So there's lots of new skills that they're going to need when they move into the post-16 setting. But to just finish off, really, we're going to listen to some skills that they're going to need in the run-up to leaving school, in particular thinking about how you support your young person in the run up to the GCSE exams or whatever exams they may be sitting, and how you can support that and support them moving into a post-16 setting. So again, we've got another colleague here, Mrs. Bush, who is a Senko, and she supports young people in a secondary school in Warwickshire.
Okay, when it gets to the actual exam period, it's very important that your child knows exactly what time the exam is on, where they need to be. Most schools will have practiced this during mock exams, but good night's sleep night before, and make sure they're in school plenty of time so they're not stressing at all about being late. Make sure they've got the right equipment for the exams as well. Again, most schools have backup equipment, but to save stresses, it's good that your child makes sure that they have everything that they need with them. Then, when the exams are over, okay, and they're waiting for the results, okay, hopefully they've still got in mind where they want to go on the exam results day. Okay, if they don't get their first choice, don't panic, but get in contact with the school or the sixth form where your child has wanted to go, because you never know, even if they've fallen down on a few grades, they might still be able to get in. Or have a plan B. That's really important. So if they don't get the grades they need, know where they can go. And again, there'll be plenty of teachers on hand, no doubt, on results day in order to help. And there'll be people at the colleges and sixth forms as well available. In the holiday, on the run up to them starting on their new placement, preparation again is key. Make sure that they know the route, how they're going to get to their new placement. If it's a bus, do a dry run. If it's in the car, again, do a dry run, because you never know how long it will actually take, and you don't want people getting there late. Make sure they know their timetable. Okay, if it's a college, it might be a more flexible timetable than they're used to. They have a bit more time, have to manage their own time, make sure they get to the right lessons on time. What are they going to do with their free time? There won't be the same teachers who are chasing up homework, so make sure that they know how to manage their time properly. You're going to have to work a lot on their independent skills. Self-motivation is going to be key as well. Problem solving, get them to think, what if this happens or that happens, how can they work out a solution to that?
So yeah, there are lots of things that students need to think about in the run up to transferring out of secondary school, and often schools will give lots of advice and plenty of information and a timetable of when you need to do certain things. But again, like you did with moving into primary school and into secondary school, visiting the colleges or the environments that your child's interested in, your young person's interested in, is really helpful. Going to open days and having a good look round and trying to speak to students who are already there, what's happening, what are they doing, what are their experiences like, and making sure you get your applications in on time. If there's an opportunity also for careers interviews, that's helpful. Any kind of relevant work experience as well. So just thinking ahead around those things and sort of planning and just checking in with your young person that they are thinking around those things and facilitating and organising bits of things that they can themselves. So just to finish off then, so in order to support a smooth positive transition into secondary school and out into post 16, these are some top tips that were developed by Young Minds for parents and carers to help young people. So this might be a useful resource to get outside of today's webinar, but it just talks to you about things that you can do as a parent and a carer that are really helpful for your young person as they go through change and transition. So I'd like to thank you all for watching today, and very best wishes for your next transfer. Thank you.